Hey, this is Bryce Harper, and welcome to the Phillies Show.
Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zolecki. It's the Phillies Show. It's Friday, October 3rd, 2025. The Phillies will play the Los Angeles Dodgers in the 2025 National League Division Series. Game 1 is Saturday night at Citizens Bank Park. It's time for the Park's first pitch. First pitch is brought to us exclusively by our partners at Parx Casino, Pennsylvania's #1 casino. Like my dramatic voice.
Numero uno, bro.
#1 casino. I'm trying to get dramatic for the postseason, guys. It's big. It's finally here. The Phillies, Dodgers. Dodgers smoked the Reds in 2 games at Dodger Stadium. What are we thinking about this series, fellas? Talking to a couple people today. Phillies fans, little nerves. Shohei Ohtani pitching in game 1. We'll get to him in a bit, but just generally speaking, your thoughts.
Well, they have a long history in the postseason. Back in the 70s, again during the Ruben Amaro front office years, and they're renewing old acquaintances. It feels like to me the World Series, because I feel like there's a chance these are the 2 best teams in all of baseball. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, right? But they feel like the 2 best teams in Major League Baseball, and they're going to slug it out in the NLDS. The Dodgers are scary, and here's why: they treated the regular season like it was a layup drill, like it was a pregame stretch, and they are challenging the old axiom that in baseball you can't just flip the switch, because they used the regular season. They had injuries. They used it to get their rotation healthy, to build up Ohtani, and they really, in September, they had really good offense. Their pitching is healthy. Their rotation is healthy, and it appears they have flipped the switch by steamrolling the Cincinnati Reds. Now, hey, the Reds backed in, not really ready for prime time team, but nonetheless, the Dodgers look like a team that's clicking on all cylinders. Their rotation is fantastic, and their bullpen's a question mark. But oh, by the way, maybe they found a closer in Roki Sasaki. Dangerous team, but you know what? The Phillies have been waiting for this all year long. They didn't treat the regular season as a layup drill. They got after it, played well, 96 wins. There's a lot to like about the Phillies too, and I love the fact that they have the first 2 games at home, and get it on.
Won't be easy. This is the matchup that I think that everybody knew was going to happen at some point. I had the feeling that at some point, whether it was going to be in the NLCS or whether it's going to be in the NLDS, this was going to happen, and it's happening. And it's sort of unfortunate that it's just a 5-game series, because it has a chance to be a knockdown dragout. I have a feeling in the next CBA that there might be a chance to shorten up the season and maybe expand this particular level. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but it sure seems like it should be in some ways, so you can really find out which teams are the best ones going into the next series to the NLCS. That said, it's going to be a tough one, because Ohtani and the guys that are pitching against him are going to be tough. The guys that are pitching for the Phillies are going to be tough. It's 2 of the best teams in baseball, I believe, and I think it's going to be really exciting. I really do. There's going to be some nerves in those stands, but those nerves can be squelched if the Phillies get out to an early lead. We'll see what happens. You got to get the crowd into it, not nervous, but into it. And hopefully they play good, solid, fundamentally strong baseball.
Yeah, I think Ohtani pitching game 1 at Citizens Bank Park. I get it. He's great. But, man, how much fun could that be? And you're right, Ruben. If the Phillies could somehow scratch across a couple of runs in the first couple innings against a guy like Ohtani, the crowd is going to get into it. The Phillies, they played well against the Dodgers in the regular season, this season and last season. I don't know if that means anything. It does. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Probably doesn't. I don't know. It's the postseason, but they were 4-2 against the Dodgers this year. They're 9-3 against the Dodgers the last 2 seasons in the regular season. So they played well against them. Again, different, totally different. I get it. The postseason is totally different, but I do think this is a great series. I was saying same thing that you guys said today. I was talking with Ricky Bowe and on 97.5, and I said, I just wish this was a 7-game series. Same thing you guys said. I feel like this should be an NLCS matchup. I think that these 2 teams right now, the way they're playing, maybe the best 2 teams in baseball. No disrespect to the Milwaukee Brewers, but a heck of a matchup, and it is going to be a lot of fun.
Hey, that was First Pitch, presented exclusively by our partners at Parks Casino, Pennsylvania's #1 casino. ParksCasino.com is the website. You must be 21 to participate. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Want to mention, of course, the PhilliesShowShop.com is now open. Get your gear for the postseason. We got it all. We're getting more every day.
I dig the swag. It's swagalicious.
Scan the QR code on the screen or go to the PhilliesShowShop.com. Check it out. So we've got Shohei Ohtani against Cristopher Sánchez on Saturday. Now, full disclosure, we're recording this on Thursday night before the Yankees and Red Sox game ends. So we don't know if this game's at 6:08. We don't know if the game's at 6:38. But it will be in the 6 o'clock hour, and it will be Shohei Ohtani. It will. I do, Jim. It will be Shohei Ohtani. Yeah. Oh my gosh, no shadows.
I'm glad there's no shadows. That's
totally
that's another thing. That's another whole element of this. No shadows for these games, and that's important because at least it gives the hitters a chance against these 2 pitchers because they're both swing and miss type pitchers.
Absolutely. So you know it's shadow. So you got Cristopher Sánchez, who, if I had to put money on it, is going to finish 2nd for the NL Cy Young Award behind Paul Skeens. That's my prediction. You have Shohei Ohtani, only the greatest player in baseball right now. Some people say maybe the best ever. I don't know. I didn't see Babe Ruth play, but he's pretty good. So what do we think about this pitching matchup? Now, last month at Dodger Stadium, Shohei Ohtani threw 5 hitless, scoreless innings, walked 1, 5 strikeouts. I want to run through some of these numbers for you guys just to give you an idea of what the Phillies are facing. Now, they had never faced him before. 4-seam fastball averaged 99.2 miles an hour, touched 101.7. He has a slider, a curveball, a sweeper, a sinker, a cutter. He threw a 1 splitter. So he's got it all. You know, he's got everything but a knuckleball, really. And the Phillies definitely struggled against him in that opener. Or that game, I should say, at Dodger Stadium.
He's going to be a bear. I mean, they kid gloved him all year, but he kept building that workload. And all of a sudden now he's gotten deeper into games in September, like 14 2/3 innings in September, 0 runs. I think he only allowed 1 run in like 19 innings over his final 4 starts. You're right. He's the modern day Babe Ruth. And let's not forget, Babe Ruth was a great pitcher who would have won at least one Cy Young award if it was around in his day. So, they have a chance to ride Ohtani far. He has a chance to be a tone setter against, both offenses were pretty good in September. The Phillies struggled with runners in scoring position last week. But, I think maybe their foot was off the pedal a little bit in spots. But Ohtani's, he's going to be a bear. But Cristopher Sánchez has a chance to be a bear against a very good lineup as well. He's coming off a couple really great starts. And, his last 32 starts at Citizens Bank Park, look up the numbers. He's got like a 2.5 ERA. He's been great. And I think his confidence is high. Fan Appreciation Day Sunday had another good outing. But this is a different kind of pressure for Cristopher Sánchez, I would think. He has pitched in the postseason before, but He's now pitching game one. He's now pitching as the team's ace. That's different. How he handles it will go a long way to determining how they do in game one, and we know how important game one is in a short series.
Well, no question about it. It's about controlling your emotions, and hopefully he can be that guy to do that. Obviously, it would typically be Zach Wheeler's start, but this kid has matured tremendously. I think he believes in the stuff. He's got the confidence to do it. Again, you just don't know how emotional he'll end up getting. Hopefully he can handle himself in a mature way. He has been growing in front of our eyes from just a babe to a stud pitcher, and really impressed by what he's done as a pitcher over the last several years, or last couple of years. He's grown up in leaps and bounds. I will say this. One of the things that I was really impressed by with Ohtani was his ability to throw strikes with all of his stuff. And that's a concern. I do like the fact that the team has actually seen him throw. They've seen him pitch. They've faced him. And that is important. And I remember saying it during the broadcast that even though he was dealing, at the very least, they get a chance to see the ball come out of his hand. They can react to it and know the spins and understand what's happening with the baseball when it comes out of his hand. Doesn't mean that they're going to have success against him, but at least they've seen it and had some level of understanding of what they're going to face. Phillies did end up winning that game between he and I guess it was on the 16th of September. They came back and won the ball game and beat up their bullpen that day. But listen, this is different. And I will say this. The postseason is a totally different animal. Right. And if you don't execute and if you don't play good baseball, you see what's happened in the other series so far. Base running issues, making mistakes, misplays, not backing up, the appropriate spots, not being able to move a runner, not being able to get a bunt down, getting a bunt down, and how it changes. All of a sudden, it's amazing. You actually have to play baseball again. And I think that the Phillies have done a pretty good job of actually playing baseball, doing some bunting, doing some of the small things, trying to move a runner from time to time. They have struggled with runners in scoring position at times, and that's a concern. But you have to play clean baseball to be a champion, and hopefully they can do that. And if you're not playing clean baseball, then you better be lucky and get a couple of hanging breaking balls to hit out of the ballpark. Otherwise, you're going to be in a tough spot.
So what, like the game plan for Ohtani, like what do you think Kevin Long and his hitting staff is going to ask the hitters? Because I feel like a lot of times you hear this, right? Or you maybe on the outside you go, all right, with Ohtani, you just want him to try to run his pitch count up and then to try to get into that Dodgers bullpen. But he throws a lot of strikes. So then a lot of times you see guys be really aggressive early in the count, right? And you're going, what are they doing? They're not working the count. But they're like, well, you got to be aggressive early in the count because if you're 1-2 or 0-2 against this guy, you're screwed. So I don't know what the answer. I don't know if there is an answer really, but it's. I don't know. It's going to be fascinating to see what kind of game, how they try to attack him, and what the game plan is to beat him.
If he's over the plate early in the count, I think you got to be ready to hit. You got to be ready to hit because if he gets ahead and starts going, 5 and 6 deep, like Ruben said, he throws everything for strikes. So it's a difficult challenge.
If I'm facing him, if I'm in the box, I'm looking for a fastball. If I get a fastball to hit or something that's up in the zone, a breaking pitch that's up in the zone, I'm going to have to be aggressive on it early because you get to 2 strikes and now you're talking about 6 different pitches. You can't eliminate anything. Then you're just looking for baseball. And so, I think you're right, Jim. I think you have to be sort of aggressive in the early part of the count and aggressive in the strike zone. All early part of the season. This is what they talked about. This is what they sort of primed themselves for, to make good swing decisions early in the count, right? And so they suffered a little bit with their power in the early part of the season as a result of this. Now, they got a little bit better with their power, obviously a lot better with their power, and were swinging more freely, more athletically later on in the game, in the season, because I think that their thought process got better. Their ability to distinguish hittable pitches from non-hittable pitches got better, and they had a lot of success. Will that happen in the postseason? I hope it does, because if it can, they'll have a lot of success. If not, it'll be tough, because they've got great pitchers that are pitching against them that have swing and miss stuff. Blake Snell has absolutely filthy
the other night.
Off-speed stuff. He has a great changeup and excellent curveballs and sliders. Almost unhittable. So how do you combat that? Swing at strikes and swing at the fastball. When you get that pitch to hit, you got to make good hard contact.
It would have been great if the Reds could have squeezed out one win, because now they would have had to use Shohei in Game 3, and you wouldn't have seen him in Game 1, tone setter. You would have seen him later in the series maybe. So that was big, them going, hosting that series and getting the sweep. We had Kevin Long on the show the other day. He was fascinating, in my opinion. One of our favorite, to me, one of the best interviews we've had, one of the best shows we've had. I would encourage anybody to go back and listen to that Phillies hitting coach, Kevin Long. But he was talking about how, they have the machines in the cage where they can plug in that night's starter and get all his velocities, his entire pitch repertoire, all his locations, all his spin rates. And I have to imagine the Phillies been doing a lot of watching of a virtual, whatever you want to call it, Shohei Ohtani, right, Tom?
Yeah, the trajectory system does a really good job of being able to simulate the spin rates and the spins and all that stuff. And all you can try to do is simulate as much as you possibly can and go from there.
Didn't Kevin also say that they'll juice up that machine to like 105?
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of have to, right? I mean, if you want to hit velo, you might as well step up in the box an extra step and crank it up to 105 and just,
and
maybe 101 won't be so bad.
It'll actually make it feel like it's slowed down in the game if you actually go ahead and make it, the velocities harder and faster, just to track it and see it. Because then in real time, you actually see the arm motion, and it's a little bit different. You have a better timing mechanism than you do with the trajectory machine. It's similar because the video comes out with the arm action, but you don't actually see the arm work.
Right.
But hey, as much simulation as you can possibly do is a positive, and hopefully the boys can make the proper adjustments when need be.
I would just like to see, for Phil, Phillies fans would love to see this. I would just love to see Ohtani get in a little bit of trouble early in the game, just to kind of see the crowd reaction. I would love to see if they could Bert Hooten him a little bit. I feel like Ohtani's just like a robot almost. He's like a superhuman.
He's a little AI-ish.
I don't think he could be Bert Hootened, but I think the fans got under CC Sabathia's skin in Game 2 of the 2008 NLDS.
That's right.
You never know. We've seen it happen. So I think that would just be a fun atmosphere. I know people that are going to the game, they're like, "Oh, Ohtani." I said, no, you should be going, "Oh, this is going to be great. Shohei Ohtani," especially if they get on him early. It could be.
Lest we forget, the Philly fan really does believe that they can impact the game. And I'm sure they'll be trying.
Exactly. And our friend Charlie Manuel, he always liked to quote one of his favorite people of all time, Ric Flair. He said, "To be the man, you got to beat the man."
That's right.
So Shohei Ohtani, he is the man. Got to beat the man. If you want to win a World Series, you might as well do it by beating Shohei Ohtani and the Los Angeles Dodgers in the National League Division Series. So Game 1 again is Saturday night. It's not the only sports going on this weekend.
No.
Ruben, you got it all. You can follow it all at Parks Casino or on the Bet Parks Casino app.
That's right. A big sports weekend, and the Bet Parks online sportsbook and casino has you covered. Philadelphia baseball is opening its division series against the Los Angeles Ball Club on Saturday night. Philadelphia is the game one favorite, believe it or not. Bet more than the score, though. Bet player hits, home runs, RBIs, and more on the BetParx app. Plus, Sunday Pro Football at 1 p.m. Don't forget the Birds. They're 4-point favorites over Denver. There's always another way to win on the BetParx app, which is the only app that I would recommend. Plus, BetParx has your favorite classic casino games right on your phone. Make your downtime fun time. Play blackjack, craps, roulette, and hundreds of hot online slots. New casino users get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in your first 24 hours. BetParx.com for details. You must be 21 and in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or Michigan. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right. So think about this series. Give me, who's your X factor for the Phillies? Who's a guy, you can't say Kyle Schwarber. We know Kyle Schwarber. And Bryce Harper, Trea Turner. Trea Turner maybe with the hamstring, you could say. I don't know. I'm not telling you guys who to pick. I'm just wondering if you guys have any X factor. I'll give you my X factor. I'll start it off, Jim.
Start it off.
Ruben. I'm going to say Orion Kirkring.
It's a good one.
I'm going to say Orion Kirkring because Orion Kirkring really struggled down the stretch. He had 2 good appearances at the end of the season, including that last one, strikes out the side, scoreless inning. We talk a lot about the Dodgers bullpen and how shaky it is, and the Phillies bullpen really should line up nicely with Jhoan Duran. But if they could get a good version of Orion Kirkring in the 6th inning, in the 7th inning, however it lines up, man, that would go a long way for this bullpen because in the postseason, we know this, the way the game has evolved over time, you're probably not going to see Sánchez, Suárez, and Luzardo going into the 7th inning, going 7 to the 3rd, 7-2. That'd be great. That'd be great if it happened, but probably won't happen, at least in one of those games. So if you could get a dominant Orion Kirkring and then you can get the ball to Strom to maybe face Ohtani, maybe face Freddie Freeman in the 8th or however it lines up, that would be absolutely huge. So that's my X factor for this series is Orion Kirkring.
Solid.
Good one.
I think I would go. I think you could have the entire alphabet, those X factors. But I think it's important that the Phillies don't have like a strikeout-a-thon offensively and put the ball in play. And I'm going to say in that vein, Alec Bohm becomes very important to me. He's a guy that can hit for some contact. He may hit behind Harper, and I think it's important that he become a tough out and be a tough out and put the ball in play and not strike out. So Harper sees some pitches. So I don't know what he's going to do with what Rob's going to do with the Bohm, Bader, Real Muto triumvirate, who's going to hit there at 4. But whoever does is going to be essential, and I think Bohm might have the ingredients to be there, and you just can't have high strikeout games. And this is a very talented and loaded with firepower Dodgers starting pitching staff. That's not a good mix when you strike out a lot. So Phillies need to have a lot of good at-bats, and I think Bohm becomes important in that way.
So I'm going to cheat a little bit here, and I'm going to have a double X factor. And I think it's going to be – I think one of the things that really made the team click nicely at the end of the season was the depth of the lineup, that the guys at the top part of the lineup, you sort of they are going to do what they're going to do. But if you get big at bats and base hits with Marsh and Stott, who are probably going to hit somewhere between 6 and 9 in that lineup, if you can get those guys on base, particularly Stott, to roll that lineup over, he has the ability to get some big hits and make good contact in front of Turner. Then you have a chance to have some real action on the bases. You make it super difficult and lengthy, and you put the stress on the pitcher that way. And I think having those two guys, Stott in particular, it's a little different to have Stott back there as opposed to Johan Rojas, for instance, because you got a lot different at bats out of that guy than you were going to get out of Johan. So he's going to be my little X factor. I am a big fan of his, of Stott's, and I believe that he's gotten to the point where not only is he in the right space with his hands, but is in the right space with his mental makeup. I love the player. I think he's going to be a big factor in this series.
Especially the way he swung it the last 2 months after making that adjustment. Kevin Long talked about that adjustment and how he wanted him to, get the ball in the air to the pull side, but, keep it down and keep it low to the off field. And Stott was struggling with it. And Kevin Long said to him, "Do you really want to hit 235?"
It's a great question. That's all I saw in the Cleveland Guardians lineup. Nothing but 230s and 218s and 220s.
It's really amazing. Yeah, go ahead. Go, Jim.
No, you were going to say, Todd. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say it was just really amazing the Guardians got that far with that lineup.
It's extraordinary. It's a great effort by Stephen Vogt and my man, the train, Carl Willis, who is their pitching coach. I think they did a hell of a job of even getting into the playoffs.
And aided a little bit by a unbelievable swan dive by the Tigers, who have righted themselves a little bit in the first round. But I wanted to pose a question, something I've been thinking a lot about. And Ruben, you kind of touched on it a little bit, saying, you got to keep the nerves out of it. Todd, you touched on it a little bit by wondering if they could ever get on Ohtani early and really get that crowd into it. And when things don't go right, and we talked about this with Boa last week, that when things don't go right, the crowd gets quiet and tight. Everybody gets tight. You can feel it. And in that kind of extending that, I don't think there's ever been more pressure on a Phillies team in 143 years of competition than this one. I think the pressure on this team is more than any other Phillies team, including the 11 team. The 11 team had 102 wins, had a bad week against St. Louis, got knocked out, but there were enough guys on that team that had won in 08, and that kind of cushioned their fall. 1980 had enormous pressure, enormous. 3 divisions. Ruley went in and said he's going to break up the team. They ended up winning. They responded to that huge pressure, but they didn't have a monstrous payroll like there are these days, like the Phillies are carrying this year. And the fans were different then. There was no social media. Mm-hmm. The players didn't grow up in the social media age, hearing every bit of disappointment and sometimes harsh criticism and even personal stuff. I just think, and now this team is big payrolls, record payrolls, over the luxury tax, been there 3 years in a row, star-studded roster, 2 $300 million guys, and an aging core. I just think it's created a massive amount of pressure on this particular Phillies team, the most maybe on any team ever with the Phillies, and how they respond and handle that pressure is going to go a long way to determine how this month goes. Am I off base?
I don't think you're off base at all. And I think this is where, and there's some criticism as to how Rob Thompson runs this ball club. And I don't have that criticism. People say that he's too mild-mannered and he's too chill and he's too – well, I think that his overall demeanor helped that whole process. He believes in his guys. He lets them play. He trusts them to do their jobs, and he stays positive with them. And I think that's all he can do, because at the end of the day, he might be able to make 1 or 2 moves in the bullpen or what have you with a pinch hitter. But the reality of it is the boys have to play. And if they play free and easy and with joy, like Charlie Manuel was a master at being able to bring out of his players, then they have a chance to go a long, long way.
Yeah. Dave Dombrowski kind of touched on that the other day. He was asked, do you see this as almost like a last dance, last hurrah situation? He said, yeah, for sure. We can see losing some guys. So obviously he knows that. Everybody knows that. But yeah, I do think there's pressure on this team. And you're right. I think the 2011 team, they felt pressure. But when that season ended, as crushing as it was, they all thought that they were going to be good again the next year and keep it going for a couple of
So did I.
I mean, why would
So did I.
but I mean, why wouldn't you have? Like, obviously Ryan Howard blows out his Achilles and Chase had his issues, but you're sitting there going, we still got Roy Halladay, we've got Cliff Lee, we've got Cole Hamels, we've got all these young players, all these good players still. You had no reason to think that they were not going to be able to repeat. So there was a crushing disappointment for sure, but not this sort of massive pressure. Like, if we don't win it this year, we're done. But now you have, if we don't win it this year, maybe Kyle Schwarber thinks the grass might be a little greener somewhere. I don't know. Maybe JT Realmuto has less of a, I'm not going to think 2-year deal. I can get a 4-year deal here, Rangers. So there's all those different factors. I do think there's pressure, and I do think that if they do get down early, you're going to see some clinched tuchuses.
I think you might see some clinched tuchuses, yes, but you also have to remember this has been one of the most resilient teams in the world. They've looked like crap one day, and they literally are out of it, and then they'll bounce back like it never happened before, and they bounce back and play a good game of baseball. It really, again, the postseason really is a crapshoot, and it will be against the Dodgers because the Dodgers are such a talented team. But hey, you just got to play good baseball and try to enjoy yourself because this is the fun time. This is why you play sports, for the postseason, to get an opportunity to put yourself in this position, and they have.
So what's our predictions? Let's close on that. What are we predicting?
I'm going to say Phillies in 5. I'm going to say Phillies in 5. I do have fear that the Dodgers are rolling really strong right now, but I do feel like the Phillies will stay in it, and I'll say Phillies in 5. I'm
going Phillies in 5. They come home and they win it in front of the home crowd, and the home crowd gives them that kick they need.
Yeah.
And I'm predicting a great series that people are going to come away from saying that felt like the World Series.
I agree with you guys. I was going to say Phillies in 5. And so I will say Phillies in 5. Same thing. I think it's going to be crazy. People are going to be losing their mind. We're going to be trying to talk people off a ledge a couple times over the next week, right? We're going to get on in the morning. People are going to be freaking out because something didn't happen right. But ultimately, I think the Phillies, I think they're the most well-rounded team. I do. I think if you can get into that Dodgers bullpen, and I know Sasaki in the 9th inning, he's looked really good. Maybe he can keep that up. But
Sasaki's never put the CBP in Red October, my friend.
Great point, Ruben. Great point. Great point. Get in it.
Maybe he'll go to Jonathan Broxton for some advice.
They should bring J-Roll in and Matt Stairs in to.
They got to play that on the loop.
Two of the almost all-time moments for me covering this team.
Oh my God,
Jim! I was sitting next to you in the press box at Dodger Stadium when Stairs sent one deep into the night,
and that place went hushed, quiet. All you could hear was like the Phillies front office, like 3 boxes over, going crazy.
That was me.
That was Rubio.
That was me crying. I literally had tears. I'm not lying to you. Cheers.
And the Brox in the next year with the Jimmy double or whatever
Cheers.
it was a double, right?
It was a double.
When I jumped on top of my desk in the
and Ray Liotta's in the shower to Scott Franzen.
All-time
so
great
good.
Twitter clip. Yeah, that was all-time.
Whoever did that deserves an Academy Award.
Absolutely. That was fantastic. Well, maybe there will be some of those moments this week. If you haven't checked out some of our episodes the past week, we've had Ryan Howard on, Larry Boa, Kevin Long, Dusty Wathan, and Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, which was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
We had some fun with all those guys. I mean, so much great stuff. The behind-the-scenes stuff that Dusty gave us, just the prep work that goes into being a third base coach, how they get videos of the visiting ballparks and how you have a 4-minute video, 4-minute video, and just watching balls ricochet off the wall so he can get an idea of what might be coming. It's just cool stuff, man. If you love baseball, you've got to check out those shows. They were a blast. So we will be back on Sunday to talk about what happened in Game 1 of the National League Division Series.
Can't wait. Smell you later, boys.
Smell you, Jim.
The Philly Show is brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. Subscribe to The Philly Show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.